Hey, this is Trevor Grout, and you're watching Scrum TV.
Straight off the pages of thescrumsports.com and into your earholes, it's the Scrum Sports Podcast with your hosts, Ryan Adams, Trevor Grout, and the bald and beautiful Brooks Roll.
Week 2 of Major League Baseball has come and gone. How have the Rays fared after a freaking amazing 5-2 first week of the season? We'll talk about plenty of Rays baseball. Mike Evans, well, he's going to be a Buccaneer for at least one more year as the Bucs pick up his 5th-year option on his rookie contract. And, of course, there's plenty of NHL playoff action over the last week since we last joined you. Welcome. Yeah, sans the Tampa Bay Lightning. Welcome to another week of the Scrum Sports Podcast. With you, as always, the three-headed dragon that is myself, Ryan Adams, Trevor Grout, and back in studio with us after paying his bills last week is Brooks Roll.
It's good to be back once again, and you had to bring it back up, the NHL Playoffs, just as I was starting to get over it, and realize I'm going to be watching playoff hockey without the Lightning. And
for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, or actually for the first time in 4 years.
Well, yes, technically they've been there 3 years in a row.
But yeah,
He just won't quit ripping that damn Band-Aid off.
I know, and it's like I'm watching this first round and I'm thinking, if they had just gotten in, because I mean, look at how crazy this opening round has been so far.
Yeah,
Chicago's down 3-0. Pittsburgh is up 3-0. I mean, you had crazy officiating in Boston in Game 3, Boston-Ottawa.
Chicago didn't even score a goal in their first 2 games.
Yeah, they've been outscored 9-2 in that series.
Hopefully, if you guys have been watching playoff hockey, you've been watching it over at Gators Dockside. Our pals over there have a fantastic family-friendly atmosphere, whether you're watching playoff hockey, Major League Baseball, a couple months away from we're only a couple months away from training camp, boys. I mean, it's NFL season. The workouts have started.
There's more than a couple. Calm your balls.
Training camp's July, right? Here we are.
The schedule is going to be released soon, though.
Yes.
The draft is coming up as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that you can head over to Gators and take a look, see, including our April 27th draft party, which is it's looming. It's less than 2 weeks away now. The draft is always exciting. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not really a clear-cut draft selection by them, but you can come on the 27th to Gators Dockside and have yourself a couple of free draft beers using the promo code.
One of these days, you're actually going to learn this damn promo code.
This is your thing, though.
Why has it got to be my thing?
Because you made it your thing.
You kind of did make it your thing.
I'm not your Vanna White.
Look, everybody has a thing. You have a thing. Brooks has a thing. He's bald and beautiful. What's your thing? You know the promo code.
I'm funny, damn it.
No, you're not. So if you're watching Scrum TV, the promo code is sitting right there in front of your face hole.
813-777-2786. I hate you so much.
I know you do. Come on down to Fowler Avenue and 56th Street, Gators Dockside, big old sign out front, and tell them the Scrum Sports sent you. Whether you come to the party in 2 weeks or just on your own.
Wait.
What?
You said you watch Scrum TV. How have you not memorized this number?
Because that's your thing. I don't shave my head because it's Brooks Rowland's thing.
You should shave your face. It would actually be an improvement.
Oh, boy. Let's not get into a beard conversation again.
I mean, it's not me and Brooks' fault. We could grow nice beards. Now, on a scale 1 to 3, Brooks is number 1. I'm number 2.
Hey, Brooks, if we turn
You're like number 6.
If we turn this into a drinking game where if you took 16 shots for every show he mentions facial hair, we'd kill people.
Oh, people would die.
We'd kill people.
They're at the very least, stomachs are getting pumped.
Yes, absolutely. And we don't want our listeners' stomachs to be pumped. We want them to be able to come to Gators and enjoy some brews and enjoy some really good food, winger dinners, seafood, Cuban burgers, whatever the hell you want.
Off-the-bone ribs.
There you go.
Their desserts are really good.
Yes.
Now at the draft party, we are going to have Buccaneer prize packs.
Yes, we will.
You'll be able to buy 3 tickets, get 2 free. Each ticket's $2, so spend 6. Get 2 free tickets.
Yes, we'll have lots of stuff, just like we had at our Lightning event a few weeks ago. You guys can get some tickets to raffle off and get you some nice Buck swag. Ooh, talking with his mic off.
Sorry if I'm still coughing. I'm still getting over that little bug. But at least my voice is better, especially better than last week.
Okay, so crazy first round of playoff hockey so far. You just said there's already a couple teams that are surprisingly in a 3-0 hole. Again, I know we talked earlier about how, and it seems like this comes up not just in hockey every year, but in sports in general. It seems like the worst officiating comes in the playoffs.
It happens every single year, it seems
Without
like.
fail.
Without fail. There's always going to be some questionable calls. And, I mean, I briefly mentioned this earlier, but Game 3 of Boston-Ottawa was in overtime. And they let a lot of stuff go. And then all of a sudden, you know, Bobby Ryan and Riley Nash get into it. Nash gets popped for the retaliatory, even though Ryan had clearly elbowed someone in the head. And they get a power play, Ottawa does. And guess who scores the winning goal? Bobby Ryan does on the ensuing power play.
Ooh, poetry.
Yeah. And, I mean, you had that. I mean, just in general, you got Toronto up 2-1 on Washington.
Good for
Nashville up 3-0 on Chicago.
Yeah. How about, even though Calgary can't win, they haven't won in Anaheim since the Stone Age, I still figured that it would be a much different series than them being in a 3-0 hole against the Ducks.
How sweet is it that we got to see Mr. Boyle put the dagger in the heart of the Capitals?
That was a beautiful pass on that game winner.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gorgeous.
By the way, are we potentially going to see Washington do their typical playoff thing? And
I don't think you can say that 2 games to 1 yet.
Here's the thing, though, is that Washington has literally all the pressure in the entire world on their shoulders because they have the reputation, and a well-deserved one, of being choke artists in the playoffs. Toronto literally has nothing to lose. They're playing with house money. They're a team that's dressed anywhere from 7 to 9 rookies in their lineup the entire season.
Didn't have high expectations this year.
Didn't have they had
not playoff aspirations.
Not playoff expectations, but they've exceeded them. And you could tell that they're playing loose. They're playing confident. They've got a swagger. They're getting the goaltending. And it's not just the big guns that are scoring the goals either. They're getting contributions from all up and down the lineup. And that's what you got to have in the playoffs is you have to have that third and fourth line chipping in.
Have you noticed, though, real quick, so each one of these brackets is broken up. Each one has a wild card. Then it's 1, 2, and 3. So in the top bracket in the West, you've got the Minnesota Wild, the number 2 team in that seed, against the St. Louis Blues, the number 3 seed.
In the division.
St. Louis, currently up 3-0 on the team that was ranked higher than them.
Didn't see that one coming.
Then you have Pittsburgh. Okay, that one kind of makes sense. Never mind. I was going to say, I for a second there, I thought it was the same way. But no, then you have Pittsburgh 3-0 against Columbus, who owns the longest winning streak in NHL history.
Second longest.
16
games.
We were saying that earlier. That seems to be happening a lot more in sports where it doesn't matter how you finish as far as where you're seated. Look at the Giants' 2 Super Bowl wins. I mean, those are in the NFL. You're seeing more wild card teams in the NFL almost have more success than 12 and 13 win teams.
And the thing is, with the NHL, it's so hard to read how much end of regular season success or how much you're slumping going into the playoffs has an effect. It's kind of 50-50.
Yeah.
Because you take a team like Chicago, who's been red hot since the end of February. I mean, they were looking like this year's version of the Pittsburgh Penguins last year, who got red hot in February and stayed that way all the way through the Stanley Cup final and won the Cup.
You took Brooks' thing down. He doesn't have his laptop today.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's going on? Okay, there we go. Now we get the screen back up. But even though Chicago has been on fire going into the playoffs, look at them down 3-0 against Nashville. Mm-hmm. I mean, now on the other side of the coin, Minnesota and Columbus kind of, slumped into the playoffs. They're both down 3-0. I mean, it's almost 50-50.
Yeah. That's parity, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's the parity that they've been searching for in the NHL since they, basically introduced the salary cap back in 2005.
I attribute what Toronto's doing to kind of what the Rays did in 2008. They were last place the year before, a laughingstock for so many years. They surprised the world by not only making the playoffs and winning their division that year, but they went all the way to the World Series. Okay, no one when they came into you're coming out of a last place finish. People are thinking, be a 500 team, and that's a success.
Well, I mean, also in 2008, let's be honest here. after seeing what the Lightning and the Bucs both did en route to their championships, when it was announced we were playing the Rays were playing Philly in the World Series, like
That's how it always happens.
Oh my God, this is perfect.
Yeah, it always.
The Lightning beat the Flyers,
Bucs
the
beat the
Rays, the Bucs beat the Eagles. I'm like,
Tampa and Philly will forever be connected in the sports world. Forever. Like, even in today's scheduling, in yesteryear's scheduling, whether it's regular season epic games, playoff epic games, championship games, that's just the nature of Tampa Philly, man. That's why anytime I catch a Philly fan in Tampa and they say they were born and raised here, I want to punch them in their face. Because
but you won't.
No, I won't.
Because you're a nice guy.
No, I work with somebody at Ford's Garage that's like that. He's been here 90% of his life, but he's a Philly fan.
Wait.
Let me guess, because his parents grew up there or something like that, or
yeah, and look, and then there's that whole debate of, well, if you didn't have a team here when you were born, which you can't make that excuse if you're a Bucs fan, but for like baseball, the Rays have only been here 20 years. So if you were a baseball fan for, I'm 34, so for 14 years I didn't have a baseball team here.
I thought next year was the 20th. I'm just asking.
19 years. 19 years.
Well,
so,
technically, this is the 20th season.
98 was their first year.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would mean 99 is the second year, but that's just 1 year later. So technically, this is their 20th season.
We're talking semantics, but yeah, I get what you're saying. But here, so for 14 years, I was a Braves fan. They were the closest team to me next to. I mean, the Marlins even came around in the 90s.
Plus, they were on TBS all the time.
Of course.
So I mean, it was only natural.
But as soon as we got a team, I've been die-hard, ride-or-die Rays for 20 years. I'm not saying everybody should be that way. That's just my opinion on how things should go. I'm just saying. I mean, do you remember before the Lightning were here? You guys have obviously been hockey fans forever, but who were you when you were 8, 9 years old? Who were you cheering for?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't get into hockey until halfway through the Lightning's first season.
Oh, okay.
So the Lightning have been my first and true fandom, so to speak.
And I moved here from Connecticut at the age of 7.
So you're a Bruins fan. Well, you would have been.
You shut your fucking mouth.
I'm just saying that was where I was going.
Connecticut? No, that's hard. Well, it was Hartford Whalers territory back in the day, but it was also kind of divided between Bruins and Rangers fans.
He just called me a fucking Bruins fan. Can I kill his mic?
Normally you're the one getting all upset when I curse.
You know what?
I just made the list.
Not only did you just make the list, you're a Red Sox fan. And you like the Patriots.
I'm not even from the area. That's why I said what I said. That's a horrible retort to mine.
Who was my baseball team once upon a time?
Yankees.
So why in the hell would I root for the Bruins? Sure, I grew up a Patriots fan. That's one thing. But Patriots and Yankees.
His own question.
But Patriots and Yankees.
Connecticut seems like an area, and I'm never been there. I'm not from there.
You're lucky.
But it seems like it's an area that's kind of divided. Like half the people probably root for New York teams, the other half root for Boston area teams, I would think. Am I wrong? Would I be wrong in that assessment?
I don't think you're wrong.
It's like the Sharks and the Jets.
Oh boy. That's yeah.
I just made a West Side Story reference.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So
wow.
So with the way things are playing out, I mean, obviously every hockey fan's got their predictions on who they think's going where and everything like that. But how do you see things shaping up? With the first round at least half over.
Well, here's the thing about it is that last year there were no sweeps in the playoffs. This year in the first round, we've potentially got
4.
Yeah, there's 4 potential sweeps coming up in the first round. And here's the thing: it's not like they've all been lopsided series. They've all been close games. There's been a lot of overtime games involved. It's just one of those things where
Jake Allen has stood on his head for the St. Louis Blues.
You have Jake Allen standing on his head in St. Louis, like you said. Anaheim has found a way against Calgary to, they've had a couple fortuitous bounces go their way, but they've also found a way to just, weather the storm because they've gone up on Calgary in the first couple games. Flames have rallied, and then the Ducks would find a way late. And then in Game 3, the Ducks were down 4-1, came back and won in overtime.
Can you believe that in round 2, you could have Connor McDavid in the West and Austin Matthews in the East in round 2? Not against each other. I'm just saying moving on.
Oh, yeah, moving on. I predicted that the Oilers would go to the second round. I thought that series would go 7 against San Jose, and it still can. But I did not have the Leafs going to the second round. Then again, nobody had the Leafs going to the second round. But then again, I mean, there's still a lot of time left in that series.
Is it too late to do the bracket challenge on NHL.com and maybe pick the Leafs?
Yeah.
That's called cheating.
Yeah. No, you're not allowed to do that. Nice try, though. Nice try being a little sneaky.
All right, so I got breaking news. That's a very good transition into the Bucs talk. This is per Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report. The Bucs have officially been selected for HBO's Hard Knocks.
That's what the announcement is tomorrow.
Yeah. So Scott Reynolds just tweeted this out. Hard Knocks training camp with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be airing on HBO. They will be filming it this year. That's pretty fantastic.
I mean, it's nice in a way to get the exposure, but that's a lot of extra pressure, a lot of extra sets of eyeballs on you. I don't know. I don't get me wrong. Hard Knocks it's always been a pretty good show, but it's also kind of fallen into a little bit of a formula as well, because it's really tough to kind of retell the same story of a team in training camp. I mean, you've got your superstar players, you've got the journeyman that's just trying to make the team, who has a family that they always focus on.
Here's the reason why I think it could be good. Couple reasons. This is a team on the rise. Okay,
They are.
We talked about this on the Ian Beckel show last Sunday, and Ian loves the idea, and I was kind of on the fence about it myself. But one of the things that was discussed is you've got Jameis Winston, a guy who has overcome criticism, let's say a sketchy past, but things that maybe he shouldn't have done, whatever. The media blew it out of proportion, whatever the case may be. He's overcome that his first couple years in the league. You're now putting him on a stage to really show the world the kind of person that he is, rather than only one day a week. Now you're getting, and I think even Dirk Cutter said it last week. You're going to have guys that may act a certain way on and off the camera, okay? When they know there's a camera on them, okay? You could say the same thing about a Sunday night game, though. They know cameras are on them. They may perform differently, or they may act differently, or say things differently on the sideline when they're mic'd up.
And then you have Keyshawn
Okay.
Johnson, who just runs his mouth and gets his ass chewed by his head coach.
Either way.
Every week.
This is
Yeah.
a team. If you would have said Hard Knocks was coming last year, I would have said, no way in hell is that a good idea. Or Jameis's rookie year, no way in hell is that a good idea.
No.
But he's emerged, he's matured. This team was in essence one game away from being a playoff team last year. Okay, the expectations are higher than they've been in a decade, maybe, if
Close
not
to it.
longer. Okay, so if there was going to be a time to get Hard Knocks in here, no time than now. Because now you're getting this city exposure,
Damn it.
this team exposure. You're getting Jameis. I mean,
Now I have to order HBO.
I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm sure HBO Go will have it. Just download the HBO Go app. Not that
Yeah,
they're,
that still
you know.
costs like $15 a month.
But I mean, do you see what I'm saying though? Like it's good exposure. There's nothing wrong that could come out of it, I think.
It can be kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, to me, it's one of those things where it could be a good thing or it could backfire. I'm still kind of on the fence about it, but I'm willing to.
You'll watch it.
I'll watch it. Absolutely, I'll watch it. It's our team. I'm not going to sit here and say I won't watch it. Of course, I'm going to watch it. It's just, I don't know. It's just another layer, another element that's coming into the season when you've already got high expectations.
You telling me if they did a stadium series here in Tampa and they did the NHL 24 or whatever it was, I can't remember what it's called.
24/7?
24/7. And the Lightning had an opportunity to appear on it. You're saying you'd be upset with that?
I'm not saying that at all. That's different though.
How?
That's regular season.
How's that different?
This is the Hard Knocks thing is training camp.
I understand that, but it's the same thing of guys having a camera follow them around.
But what Brooks' original argument was for the guys that maybe are looking for a roster spot, that's more added pressure to their case. It's pressure for guys like, I would even say like a Doug Martin. He's still suspended, and he's now on Hard Knocks.
I'm just not as big into Hard Knocks as I used to be. I think maybe because in recent years, a couple of the teams haven't been as interesting as maybe in years past. And plus, the show's been around for 15 years.
The Falcons one was pretty good a few years back.
That one was all right, but I mean, the Rams last year, that was a snooze fest because, let's face it,
Jeff
the Rams
Fisher.
are terrible.
But it was Jeff Fisher.
And think about the personalities that are going to be on this one, though. But Jameis alone is a big enough personality.
Yeah, he's a big enough draw as it is.
Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans,
Gerald McCoy.
Gerald
Gerald
McCoy.
McCoy, yeah.
I mean, Quan and Levante aren't necessarily
Miko Grimes.
But yeah,
Oh, good
God.
Lord.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about Miko Grimes.
Good call. You know,
Yeah.
all right, you know what?
You're
Okay,
sold.
I'm sold. I'm in.
Sold.
I'm in. Let's go.
And you know what? Even Dirk Cutter has a personality.
Even Jason Light does.
Yeah.
And you forget who was the head coach for the Falcons when they did their Hard Knocks.
There you go. Mike Smith's no stranger to this. Okay, so
Touché.
there's a lot that could make this one of the best Hard Knocks ever. Okay,
You know
Miko
what?
Grimes.
I have to admit, sometimes I will take a side, but if I can be talked into it, if I can be convinced,
you leave the door open.
I will leave the door open. And guess what? You guys pounced on it. I was like, all right,
No,
you know what?
I'll give
I'm sold.
Trevor full credit for this.
No,
one.
no,
yeah.
I didn't think about
Dude,
Miko
I didn't
Grimes.
leave the door open. I left the door open, and Miko Grimes kicked that bitch in.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she did.
You took it off the damn hinges.
She went ninja with that shit. She
So-
was like, "Hey, yeah!"
If you guys are excited about this new breaking news for the Tampa Bay Bucs, whether you're in the Tampa Bay area, whether you're a Bucs fan or not, please, by all means, let us know. Shoot us a comment on our iTunes page. Tweet at us at the Scrum Sports. We would absolutely love your feedback. We'll post a poll on our Facebook page, or excuse me, on our Twitter if you think this is a good idea for a team like the Bucs. I can see the argument against it because this is a team on the rise. Could this be a distraction? There's a very valid argument.
I wonder if next year they'll do the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's good. Oh, wow. Wow.
Is it next year or is it a couple years? 2 years. At least 2 years.
You know
See,
what, Mary, if you want to clock Trevor in the head with the camera tripod,
jump
feel
on this
free
mic.
to.
Turn this mic on. Jump on this mic. Mary, look, I understand it's a couple years away. Are you really holding out hope that somebody is going to overrule this?
Yes.
You really are?
Yes.
Not gonna happen.
Until the stadium opens, yes.
Well, if they're building a stadium, it's happening. So,
No, I will hold out hope until the very first game.
Oh,
of this.
boy.
She's gonna be standing in front of the moving trucks with signs that says "Hell no, we won't go."
No, when the stadium opens, I'll go and watch the games. But
yeah,
yeah, no,
with
I
tears in your eyes
with
and
tears in my
old
eyes.
school Raiders shirt on.
yes.
You're never moving from the old school Raiders.
Well, I mean, I was used to them moving in and out of LA. That's not a big deal to me. It's the Bay Area fans that I feel for.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, well, you live in Tampa now.
Yeah, so
I expect you in a pewter shirt next week.
No, have you?
Nah,
Her son has a Mike Evans
he does. He
shirt and jersey.
loves the Bucs. He's
Yeah.
not a Raiders fan at all.
All right.
Good
well,
kid,
You're raising them well.
especially not to be a Raiders fan.
Mary Holt, everybody, digital director of the Scrum Sports and the woman who puts together fabulously everything Scrum
She
TV
keeps
related.
giving me the finger.
Yeah, you earned that one.
Yeah, it was very well deserved. Very, very well deserved. Here's the thing, though. What are the odds of the Raiders in 10 to 15 years moving back to Oakland?
Oh, that's definitely probably going to happen.
Yeah,
I think that's going to happen.
yeah. It's a very real possibility. Those guys don't know whether they're coming or going after 10, 15 years.
Wait. Maybe they should play the song when they get to Vegas. Should I stay or should I go?
Maybe. So, on top of the Hard Knocks announcement, the Buccaneers have picked up the fifth-year option on stud wide receiver Mike Evans, who Pro Football Focus has said is the 12th best player in the NFL. Not 12th best receiver, not 12th best offensive player, the 12th best player in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus.
We'll see when the NFL Top 100 comes out. Because usually
I watch it.
you get Mike Evans's or Levante David has been on there pretty much regularly. Gerald McCoy has been on there regularly. I think Jameis has a chance to crack the top 100 easily.
Yeah,
and if he doesn't, it's a damn conspiracy. The problem is, I do think Mike Evans obviously will crack the list, so I think we'll have 4 or 5 bucks. I'm still not sold on Dougie.
No. And as far as cracking anything like that, I mean, first of all, he's not going to be here for the first 3 games of the season. So
He kind of got in trouble for cracking something.
oh, that's
Pill bottle.
not even right. But according to here's the quote from General Manager Jason Light on the signing or picking up the 5th-year option for Mike Evans, which is in 2 years, by the way. So the Bucs now have him locked in for 2 more years.
That's right.
This upcoming year and next season. So Jason Light says, yeah, we picked up his 5th-year option today. Mike, in terms of his future here, I know I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for everybody here. Well, I know I am. But Mike is a Buck for life. Today we picked up his option. It wasn't a very tough decision. We'll take it from there. I can promise you at some point, I can't tell you when, we'll be contacting his agent to try to make him an offer that will make him a Buck for a long time. Now, some of the other details of this, as with options for other 2014 first-rounders already picked up, it was pretty much a no-brainer. That's not anything we have to read on a press release. That is fact. Mike Evans is a game changer. He's set records for the most 1,000-yard seasons to kick off a career. He's got 2 out of his 3 seasons with double-digit touchdowns, and he's got Jameis freaking Winston.
Well, he would have had double digits, 2 years ago had he been able to,
catch the ball.
catch it.
Yeah.
Which apparently is an issue in Madden because I've been playing, and I swear to God,
Yeah.
I have him and I have Josh Gordon on my roster. All the other team has to do is look at them wrong, and they drop the ball.
It's a video game.
If my controllers didn't cost me like $60, I'd have a few broken ones.
Maybe they'll change that for this year's Madden when it comes out.
They goddamn well better. I'm getting tired of this crap.
Maybe. So, as Bucs fans, from a fan's perspective, really from every perspective you look at it, this is very, very, very exciting.
What?
The Bucs are not, they're starting to get more into that. We need to lock some guys up for the future of this team. It was a little harder to do when they were only winning 5 games a year. But now I think this, between Jason Light and the Glazers, they're starting to realize this is a playoff team. This is talent. This is playoff talent is what we have here. Not just Mike Evans, but multiple positions on every side of the ball.
Jason Light has been instrumental in building this team,
course.
and I think when everything is said and done, he could go down as one of the greatest GMs in Buccaneer history.
I believe
to
that.
me right now, Rich McKay is still number 1.
Well, just, if nothing else, because he brought the Super Bowl here.
Yeah, and he made a gamble on bringing in a head coach,
Yep.
trading how many first-round picks, 2 or 3 first-round picks to get Gruden?
I think it was 2 first-rounders and
cash,
2
right?
second ones.
Wasn't there cash involved
and
too?
cash
Oh, yeah.
involved as well.
Yeah.
But he gambled on the fact that move would get them over the hump, and it paid off.
1 year later, it did. But again, Brooks, you got this guy locked up. Not only the other thing that I don't even really see and hear mentioned. So you've got Mike Evans locked up for 2 more years at least. What's Deshaun's contract?
3 years.
These guys are going to be together for at least 2 of those 3 years.
And it's about time they got some vertical help to help out Mike Evans because, let's face it, how many times did Jameis target Mike Evans this year? Probably about 570 is what it felt like.
Give or take a few.
Yeah, a few dozen. I think he was like one of the top 5 most targeted wide receivers in the entire
number
NFL.
1.
Was he number 1?
Because he was number 1 through the first 10 or 11 games by a significant margin.
Yeah, I know he was like one of the most targeted. I didn't realize he was the most.
It doesn't say.
Doesn't say there, but I'm sure you could find it somewhere. But in other words, they had to get him help. They got him some help with Deshaun Jackson. Mm-hmm. Plus, they re-signed Cameron Brate, re-signed Adam Humphries.
Yes.
This wide receiving core, I think if you can add one more piece to that group during the draft, doesn't have to be a first-round pick, but you add one more piece during the draft.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you've got a very, very deep group of receivers for Jameis Winston to throw to.
I don't disagree with Brooks Rowland very often, but I'm only going to disagree to this extent. They've got it already. And I'm going to tell you why, because they signed 6 more guys in the last 24 hours, Cameron Brate being one of them, Adam Humphries being another one. I'm not saying Adam Humphries is any sort of big playmaker.
Good slot guy.
But Cameron Brate is.
By the way, Mike Evans was the number 4 receiver in the NFL last season with 1,321 yards, an average of 13.8 yards per reception, and an average of 82.6 yards per game.
Tied for second with 12 touchdowns. Yeah.
Yep. The only person that had more touchdowns was Jordy Nelson, and Antonio Brown was tied with him. Yeah. You look at it this way. Julio Jones, whose team went to the playoffs, had half the touchdowns Mike Evans had.
With a better quarterback throwing in the football. Right now, I do believe Matt Ryan is a little higher than for nothing else, but he made the playoffs his first 5 seasons in the league.
Plus, he just made a Super Bowl appearance as well.
And an MVP. Okay, so...
But, the biggest difference is, too, you look at 20-plus yards, 27 receptions to Mike Evans, 15.
Yeah.
40-plus, 5 to Mike Evans, 1.
Mike Evans has officially inserted himself into the top probably 5 wide receivers in the
The
league.
only 40-plus yard reception he had last year.
Went for a touchdown.
Yeah. He's in the same sentence as a Beckham, Antonio Brown, Jordy Nelson.
Well, here's another thing.
81 first downs.
Yeah.
Because he was targeted 3 times that amount of. I mean, yeah.
He was targeted 500 something times.
Look,
it feels like anyway.
But look at the top 6.
Yeah, 60s.
Nobody's over 70.
Yeah, Mike Evans was the number 1 and number 2 target for Jameis Winston last year.
And number 3.
Cameron Brate was number 3.
Yeah,
Cameron Brate had almost 60 catches.
I'm being facetious,
No,
of course.
Do we need to?
Yeah, Cameron Brate, 57 catches, I think, is how many Cameron Brate had. 55 for Adam Humphries. But going back to your point, Brooks, about the weapons that he has, Jameis had weapons last year. He just, I think because Cameron Brate wasn't established until last year, there might not have been that comfort level from the beginning as there was with Mike Evans. Cameron Brate's going to catch 75 balls this year.
He should.
You know who I would have loved to see them bring back?
Who's that?
Cecil Shorts.
That's if he ever plays again after that injury.
Oh, no, understandable, but in 11 receptions, he had 152 yards for 13.8. I mean,
he was a guy that they brought in to try to stretch the field because he has some speed. But yes, his injury is a big concern. He might not play again, okay? And not only that, the biggest reason I would have liked to see him back is for depth. Because once you get past, you got Evans, you got Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Brate, and Humphries. First of all, once you get past Deshaun Jackson and Humphries, you have no one else behind them on the wide receiver depth chart that you can honestly say.
I think you saw Freddie Martino.
Yeah, there's a couple, but unproven guys. Okay, Cecil Shorts is a proven veteran. Okay, Shepard was a proven veteran. You don't have that behind those guys anymore.
It was kind of a shame to see Shepard go. But I mean, that's
good
business.
for him, though.
Good for him.
He got a contract.
Business decision on his part. He went to Carolina. Sucks that he's going to a division rival, but you know what? If they're willing to pay you and they see value in you, can't really fault him for that.
Yeah. Other guys that the Bucs signed. Let's see. It says quarterback Ryan Griffin was a restricted free agent,
which is why they had no problem letting Mike Glennon go because that's the guy they want to be Jameis's long-term backup.
And you know what? I'd like to see Ryan Griffin get a little more playing time, and he will this preseason. Obviously, they see enough of him to say, first of all, not that they could have really done much with Mike Glennon anymore anyway. He was a free agent, or an unrestricted free agent. He needed to get paid. Did he need $15 million a year? No.
That's the way of the world in the NFL when it comes to quarterbacks.
But he deserved the chance to get paid. And again, it's not his fault. He has the greatest agent in the world. Let's just put it that way.
Well, is it the greatest agent or just the way the market is for quarterbacks nowadays?
That has something to do with it.
That's pretty much the going rate. If you're a quarterback and you're hitting the market, you're getting at least probably $12 million at the low end of the totem pole. I mean, you've got guys like Andy Dalton making somewhere in the neighborhood of 14-15 million
win a playoff
a year.
game.
Yeah. And then Colin Kaepernick had that crazy contract with San Francisco. Joe Flacco got a ton of money after he won the Super Bowl with the Ravens, and that's just the way the market is with quarterbacks. It's such a premium position. It's the most important position on the team, and NFL teams see it that way, and they'd rather overpay to ensure that they keep somebody because if they don't, somebody else will overpay for them.
When your position has the moniker of the most important position in sports, that says something.
Look at these contracts right here. Here's the top 7 NFL quarterbacks. Andrew Luck, $122 million. Aaron Rodgers, $110. Romo, $108.
Wow. Yeah. And
Cam Newton, $103. Matt Ryan, $103. Andy Dalton, $96 million.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, $87. Rounding out the top 10, Ben Roethlisberger with $87. Eli Manning with $84. This is what bugs me, is either he did this so he could get weapons on his team, because the guy's a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
Okay, what do you...
Yet... Oh, crap. Yep. Headphones popped out.
There you go.
Russell Wilson's won 1 Super Bowl. Andy Dalton's won none. And they're getting paid more than him. But here's the other thing that I just popped in my head I'm thinking about.
Ugh, Osweiler. Just makes me sick. Because, what was it, a few years ago, he restructured his contract.
Yeah, Tom Brady did.
Yeah.
The GOAT is at number 17 behind... Look who's at number 16.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Mike Glennon. And
Brock Osweiler.
In no sane world should that ever happen.
No.
Ever.
I've never questioned necessarily. I know Tom Brady's had his moments where people have questioned his character because of all this, whatever. I don't think I've never said Tom Brady's a bad guy. And when he restructured his contract, that says something about his character. And that says something about what he is as a teammate. But yes, we can't even say that's Trump's America. That was a few years ago that Tom Brady's been a middle of the pack.
And look at who's only $5 million behind him.
Well, Sam Bradford was probably the reason the Vikings, on top of that defense for the first half of the year, that they were even in the playoff race. And I hate saying that, but
also
he was finally healthy.
Look who's at 24.
Because he's at the end of his contract, I think.
Oh, that is his contract.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I guarantee you this is based on what's left in their current contract. Because there's no way $24 million a year.
Top salaries, cap hits, cash, earnings, contracts, bonuses for all active NFL players. No, this is their value rankings.
But how much of this? It doesn't show the guaranteed money
true.
that everybody gets.
That just said Drew Brees is making $24 million and change. Drew Brees is worth that by himself in 1 year. Okay, so I guarantee you that is what he might have 1 year left on his contract.
Hold on,
he might. But either way, Drew Brees worth $24 million because every single time he gets on that field, he gives you a chance to win the game. He's the comeback king.
He's good for close to 5,000 yards a year every year.
And close to 40 touchdowns every year. Whether he's not the Drew Brees of old, he's still a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Because
last year, his base salary was only $1 million. His signing bonus was $13.4 million.
Yeah, and then let's see, he restructured last year. So this year, Drew Brees has got a $19 million cap hit to the New Orleans Saints. And when does it look like? His contract is potential out in 28. Yeah, he's got 2 years left at most on his contract? Isn't that what that says? Potential out 2018. So for the next 2 years, he's owed $44 million. And he's worth every penny. Brock Osweiler, Mike Glennon, you're not worth your money, kid. I'm sorry. And I hope Mike Glennon sent Brock Osweiler a nice new shiny Rolex.
It said, thanks, buddy.
Because it's because of that guy that Mike Glennon got paid $15 million.
And here's the thing, though. Brock Osweiler is still going to get his money, regardless.
Yep.
He's still getting that money, even though the Cleveland Browns basically paid however many millions of dollars just for an extra second-round pick.
Yeah.
Just to take him off the Texans' hands.
Where's Jay Cutler going to play next year?
My gut, if I had to make a choice right now, Houston.
I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure it was just Ian Rappaport that came across my timeline that said Jay Cutler has said he'll take less than the money paid to a starter to play in Houston.
By the way, the Cowboys starting quarterback last year?
2.7 because he's a rookie. But he's...
Dude,
yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying Dak Prescott played well over that $2.7 million. Derek Carr is way underpaid, but these are guys only in the
Paxton Lynch almost $10 million.
That's the bitch
rookie
of guaranteed money in the NFL. That's what that is.
Well, it's because of where Dak Prescott was drafted. But I mean, you look at that. Mm-hmm. He was almost. You know who he reminded me of last year? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was drafted
third
round guy. Mm-hmm. Nobody expected him to really be what he was.
Yeah,
and he's now taken his team to 2 Super Bowls and won 1.
No, look, Russell Wilson is the whole little engine that just surprised the world, and Prescott could very well be that guy.
Prescott's if he keeps this up, he's gonna get paid.
And you know what?
In capital letters, PAID.
To kind of piggyback on what Trevor said, Russell Wilson had a Hall of Fame running back for a while when he
and
came
now
into the
Derek
league.
Carr's about to have him.
And now we'll see. That for me, I feel like if that deal was going to happen,
Mary, are you excited Are you excited about Beast Mode possibly being in black and silver?
Well, it's not as simple as just signing him off a free agent market.
Yeah, no, you got to trade for him.
Well, you have to trade for his rights. I think is what it is.
Or they have to release him. So,
did you see that face though?
Yeah,
that was like, Mary, do you like milkshakes?
Look, the Raiders.
Right, you got to move here.
Sorry, it's blocking my face.
No, it's blocking my face.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry. Okay, there it is.
I'm sorry. I'm not, I do like to get seen on camera every so often.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy who gets twice in our opener. By the way, did you see that, Brooks? Twice in our opener.
I saw that.
His face.
Look, I just signed the paycheck. I don't, Wait,
What fucking paycheck are you signing?
anyway, so
Hold on.
There's paychecks around here? What?
What do I not know here?
that was a joke.
Brooks?
That was a joke.
Hostile takeover, I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Toss his ass out.
NWO style.
So, oh God, you guys are homosexual. So, the whole landscape of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is as good as it's been in a very, very long time. And I'm really hoping Trevor doesn't play any audio right now because it's
He's doing it. He's got his finger on the button.
yeah, he's about ready to lose the button. So the whole landscape of the Bucs is as good as it's been in God knows how many years. And we're gonna have an intelligent sports conversation. He can do whatever the hell he's gonna do over there. You got Hard Knocks coming in now. You have a team that's primed to be even better than they were last year, not just with the offseason signings and re-signings. It's just a good atmosphere now. It's not just a winning atmosphere. It's a fun, optimistic atmosphere.
Well, when you had your boy, Josh Freeman, oh, yeah, he was your boy.
I mean, for the first couple of years, he looked
made
like,
a bet.
I did make a bet. And for the first couple of years, it looked like he might be the guy.
When he was around, there was, I mean, you saw Rondé Barber, but Rondé was never a vocal leader. And at that time, Gerald McCoy was still young in his career. So he hadn't really truly stepped up as a leader. Now, this locker room has something they have not had since Warren Sapp or Derek Brooks. And that is a vocal leader that will hold every single member of that 53-man roster accountable.
I'm going to say it right now.
You say it, Brooks.
If this team doesn't contend or even win the NFC South this year, that's a massive disappointment.
Of course it is.
It's a massive disappointment. If they're at they've got to win the division.
Well, they contended this year.
They did contend for it this year, but at the same time, this is a team that has to make that next step. We've seen them, make that slow burn, that slow build up to where they're at now. I mean, they bottomed out in 2014 at 2-4 with a 2-14 record.
Yeah.
Drafted Jameis Winston first overall. Bumped up to 6 wins in 2015. Bumped up to 9 wins a season ago.
Which
this team is primed to make that next step, and if they don't, some heads are going to roll or something.
Do you remember our preseason predictions where somebody, I'm not saying who, I'm just,
You can just say it's Ryan. Ryan made the prediction.
I'm just pointing over in his general direction. Said they were going to go 13-3.
No,
he said 11-5.
11-5. Okay, I'm sorry. And you and I were a little more realistic, and I think we both say either 8-8 or 9-7.
I think I said 9-7.
How and for how long was my prediction alive? At
was,
least half the year.
Yeah, for most of the year up until their last couple of losses, but they still ended up with a winning record, and we saw progress. That's the most important thing, is we saw progress from this team.
And it wasn't a fluke like the Raheem year.
I was just going to say,
not at all.
This was not that 10-6 year where, I mean, the Bucs have one of the hardest schedules in the league coming up. And I think when they announced the strength of schedule once again, and you know what? As long as the New England Patriots play in that division, even though the Dolphins were a playoff team last year and the Bills were a 500 team, as long as they're in that division, they're going to have a cupcake schedule. I think they have one of the top 3 or 4 easiest strengths of schedules in the NFL. Not taking anything away from 16 years of dominance, because 16 years is not a fluke, no matter what division you're in, okay? But it's going to be one more year where, the Dolphins and the Bills are going to play them hard like they normally do more often than not. Doesn't mean they're going to win those games. But, let's see. Obviously, Falcons, division winners. Panthers are going to be better. Bears are the Bears. Lions, a playoff team. Ugh, the Patriots. I can't believe you highlighted that. That could be a bad game.
These are the home games.
Yes. Well, home and away schedule. So you've got the Patriots at home. That might be a little bit better for the Bucs. I'm not worried about the Giants. Then there's the Jets and the Saints, obviously. The Packers in Lambeau. I think it's late in the year, too.
By the way, jinx.
So, yeah.
But they haven't released the schedule yet, so we won't know.
That's true. Okay,
they get to go up to that nice U.S. Bank Field for the Vikings.
Is it
the Starship?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it possible that when the schedule and the times are released, one of those 2 northern games are going to be not so fun?
This one doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's
true. They're in a dome.
That one's
My bad.
indoor.
Sorry.
Really, the only The only potential
Buffalo and Green Bay.
But Buffalo and Green Bay are the two potential bad weather games.
Yes.
Didn't they play Arizona last year in Arizona?
Yes,
they did.
The NFL schedule is weird. And it's sometimes a little tricky to, because I think once 8 or 9 weeks of the season is gone, you could almost predict what the schedule is going to be for the next year.
Basically, the way the NFL schedule matrix works is that there's only 2 teams that you don't know who you're playing ahead of time.
Yeah.
And the way it shakes out is that you play each of the teams in your division twice. That's 6 games. You play one other division in your conference that rotates. Next year, they're playing the NFC North.
Yeah.
Then they're playing one other division from the other conference, the AFC East. Then you play 1 or 2 games against one team from each of the other divisions in your conference. That's based on your schedule where you finished.
Exactly.
And one year and it's where sometimes you play one division away, one home. And the way it rotated, because they played the NFC West last year, but the way it worked out is that they're playing an NFC West team away this season. That team is Arizona.
Yeah,
just the way that the division
This
shaped
is
it.
just kind of funny to me, though.
And then all the news: New England Patriots, New York Giants, New York Jets, New Orleans Saints. Everything's new. Speaking of a team that's had plenty of division matchups through the first couple of weeks of the season, the Tampa Bay Rays have played all division games for the first 2 weeks of the season. I'm not even going to acknowledge this because I'm going to make my point. And my point being, the first week they started out a franchise record best 5-2, all against division opponents. Then they go on the road and have an ugly 1-6 road record, all against division opponents. So right now, and I'll be the first one to admit this, when they were 5-2, I said on all my social media outlets, if you had the Rays starting the year 5-2, you're a liar.
But if after 14 games you told me they were going to be 6-8, I'd have probably believed you.
Actually, I'll take where they're at right now, for the simple fact that look at the way the division is shaping up. Okay, Baltimore, New York, Boston, all above 500. Toronto, 2-10, a playoff team last year, 2-10. The Rays are 6-8, and I'm going to tell you what, their record is 6-8. They're about a 500 team because you had a winning homestand, a very bad road trip. Now you're coming back home to play a Detroit Tigers team that's in first place in the Central. This is gut check time again. So if they take 2 out of 3 from Detroit, you're right back where you started.
But at what point does Kevin Cash's seat start getting a little warm this season?
Not now. You're probably looking
No, I'm not saying right now, but are we talking
trade deadline? Trade deadline, because here's the thing.
I think if they hit 20 losses too early,
I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think if I said it before the season started, if the Rays miss the playoffs for a 4th straight year, all 3 years of the last 3 years under Cash, his seat has every right to get toasty. But if you go into the trade deadline and you're buyers, I think he's in a much better shape. If you go into the trade deadline and it's time to clean house, he might be part of that house cleaning. And again, they had a hell of a start. They have a new hitting coach, and this new hitting coach has gotten guys like Logan Morrison, Steven Souza Jr., guys that, especially Logan Morrison, who didn't get his first home run till 6 weeks into the season last year and could barely hit 200 during that time. He's one of the best hitters they have. He leads the team in RBIs. He's a guy that when he gets up there, you're not scared anymore, or at least early.
And as of yesterday, he was batting .302.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's 14 games. The thing about it being this early, and it's something that no other sport really you have to deal with, he's batting .302 or whatever it is right now. If he goes 0 for 6, now he's batting .270 because it's so early that 6 to 10 at-bats changes your entire batting average one way or the other.
But we have to remember it's still April.
Yes.
It's still extremely early.
Yep.
To me, the time for panic in baseball really isn't until
June.
I would say late May, early June, somewhere in there. Maybe mid-May if you're really, really struggling. Like you mentioned Toronto being 2-10.
Yeah.
If they're still struggling in early to mid-May, then maybe you start panicking a little bit if you're a Toronto Blue Jay fan.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm not really terribly worried about where the Rays are at. until the beginning of summer, probably the beginning of June.
And that's when you start talking trade deadline stuff.
Yes.
You know, come early June, you start thinking, are they buyers or are they sellers? They've got a month to prove it. And there's so much baseball left to be played. A 2-10 Toronto team in 2 weeks could be 500. You know, a 2-10 Toronto team by June could be leading the American League East. It's just, and especially the way that the East is shaping up. Baltimore's playing out of their mind at 8-3. You got 3 of your 5 teams above 500 and a few games above 500. You know, it's not like they're, 8-7 or something like that. There's a lot of divisions in baseball right now that are sort of lopsided. Look at the AFC West, the AL West. Texas, 5-8. You've got Houston at 9-4. I think they've won 5 in a row. The Angels, same record as the Rays. They were a team that was a last place caliber team last year.
Angels have lost 6 in a row.
Yes, but then to that point, they started 6-2. Okay, and now they're 6-8. So baseball's so funny. I think hockey could probably follow a lot of the same suit. You've got a team that maybe has one bad month. The Lightning, they weren't that far out of a playoff spot this year. And how up and down was their season?
They had a bad 2 months, and that's what ended up costing them.
Yeah.
Because if they had, not
but they were still in it, though.
They were still in it,
Yeah.
but if they had not left so many points on the table from that 2-month slump, we're talking about them in the playoffs rather than lamenting what if.
And then in the NFL, going back to the Bucs last season, they were 1 win away from a playoff spot. Okay, and this was a team that really didn't have. I mean, everybody thought, okay, they could win, 9, unless you're me. They could win 9 games and be playoff contenders, but that's actually what happened.
That was a season for the Bucs that came down to 2 games that cost them.
Yep.
The Rams and
Yep.
the Raiders.
Yep.
Win one of those games, you're probably in the playoffs.
Yeah, and with the Lightning, that 0-3 homestand late in the season,
That cost them too.
win 2 of those 3 games.
How about going 1-5 against the 3 worst teams in the NHL?
There you go.
And you win 2 more of those games, you're in.
Yeah. So sports are funny like that. Bringing it back to the Rays, they were 5-2 against the. They're 2-10, a bad Blue Jays team. Where they took 3 of 4. They took 2 of 3 out of the Yankees, who are a 9-4 team,
And have won 8 in a row.
have won it. But the Yankees swept them in New York. Boston just took 3 of 4 in Boston. By the way, a really great. I don't want to say great because it was a tragedy, but 4 years ago we just celebrated acknowledged the 4-year anniversary of the Boston bombing in Boston, and the Rays were in Boston during that whole thing, during Patriots Day and Jackie Robinson Day and all that stuff. For all those families that were affected by it, it was the worst terrorist attack since 9/11. We here at the Scrum Sports, our thoughts and prayers are out to those that are still recovering from that horrible tragedy. And I think the Rays were pretty proud to be up there during this time this year to take in those festivities. And I know I think it was Dave Wills, Rays broadcaster, participated in the marathon. I think Jake Odorizzi, participated in one of the marathons up there during this time. So I remember where I was 4 years ago. Just like everybody has their "Where were you on 9/11" stories, I was interning at 620 WDAE when the news broke. We literally stopped sports talk to talk about what happened at the Boston bombing.
I was at 98.7 The Fan at the time, and when the news broke, we did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, sports talk just ceased for the rest of the day. I mean, we focused on the news, trying to get updates, what was going on, what happened, basically what we knew. And, that was an instance where, as much as we love sports on the show, as much as we love sports in general, sometimes when it comes to this stuff, it has to take a back seat.
Yeah.
And it did that day. And, it was a tragic event. It was awful, but at the same time, the city of Boston overcame it. They got through it. Thankfully they found the guys that did it. And
One's still in custody.
One is still in custody. And, hopefully, we never see anything like this again. But it's always good, in the face of adversity, to see a city and, just people in general just rally around, to provide support in any way that they can.
And, again, we here at the Scrum Sports, we're always going to do the same thing. Sports don't matter. Excuse me, when something like this happens. When the Orlando shootings happened at, we were on top of it.
Pulse nightclub?
The Pulse nightclub shootings, that's in our backyard. That's an hour down I-4. So we're always going to try to be supportive of the friends and family and everybody that unfortunately lost their lives, be it the Boston bombings or the Pulse nightclub shootings. And so for all of you guys that could be listening that was affected or knew somebody that's affected by it, our hearts go out to you guys. And Boston strong. You can say all you want about not being a Boston fan. We're all Boston fans when it comes to that, because in the words of David Ortiz, which say what you want about Poppy, but that speech he gave on the mound, this is our fucking city, okay? Everybody was Boston on that day, and everybody was New York on 9/11. Everybody was Orlando during the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting. So thoughts and prayers go out to all those that are still suffering over the last 4 years since that tragedy. But going back to the Rays, they start a homestand against the Detroit Tigers and the Houston Astros this week. We got Chris Dunn at the game tonight. I'll be there the next 2 days, and we'll also be covering a lot of the Houston series as well. This is a gut check series for the Rays, an early season gut check series, because if you come back at home and take 2 or 3 out of a first-place Tigers team, you're driving fans crazy, because they're now thinking, what's the identity of this team? You guys had that with the Lightning a lot this year.
Yeah.
As bad as they were at times, they went on that 6-week spree where they looked like world beaters.
20 wins in their last 30 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they can't beat bad teams.
Yeah. It was just one of those years where nothing went right. Everything just kind of, from a fan's perspective, it drives you crazy, because you're thinking, you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Whereas, as sports fans, I think we kind of like security. We like to know what we're going to expect from our teams, what we can expect.
Yeah.
And when, things go sideways or it's up and down, I think that's what really, really drives or can drive your fan base nuts.
Absolutely. And you've got all those, Trevor's gone off on it this year. You've gone off on it this year, where fans just, and even with the Rays lately, there's a lot of people that.
The only downside to the Lightning season being over
excuse me,
is pretty much our hashtag Roland Rages are done for a few months.
Well, we still have the NFL draft coming up.
Yeah,
but that's not going to get you to the point of a Roland Rage.
If they take a kicker in the first round, that we're talking Roland Rage territory right there.
Mary, you have full and utter permission. The next time he goes on a Roland Rage here on Scrum TV, turn him green.
I think
I would love to see that.
There's still plenty of time, between the draft, between training camp, preseason. Football season's not that far away.
By the way, should we drop the little nugget on people of what may be coming soon on Tampa Bay Bands?
There may be new merchandise coming. Let's just put it that way.
Personalized.
Yes. The first personalized merchandise may be on its way over at Tampa Bay Bands, and you can.
If they put it on a beanie, like if they put that picture and the phrase on a beanie, I would actually buy the beanie.
I'll rock it.
You might frighten people with that beanie.
I'll rock it.
I would rock it, but you would scare people with it.
Let's just put it this way, without completely letting the cat out of the bag. It has to do with our own bald and beautiful Brooks Rowland. So, you guys can go to the TampaBayBands.com, click on the celebrity section, and you will find the Scrum Sports logo. Click on that for all of your Scrum swag, because who doesn't want some Scrum swag?
Have you gotten to see the hoodie yet?
No, I haven't. I don't see my brother. My brother's got a Scrum Sports hoodie. I don't see him. But I'm going to ask my mom to take a picture of it, and I'm sure he looks very dapper in it. You guys can go on to thescrumsports.com. We got a lot of new content up there. Of course, plenty of Rays content. Brooks, you guys are, even though it's not Lightning season anymore, you're still pumping out the NHL Playoff coverage. Football coverage is plenty. We got a Mike Evans article up there. We'll have plenty of draft coverage all throughout the draft over on thescrumsports.com. Follow us on Twitter at The Scrum Sports, where we're posting links constantly to all of our new content. Facebook.com/The Scrum Sports as well. Thank you to I Am One for all the music you've heard on this podcast. Joe Oliger is a good buddy of ours. You guys have heard him on this show before. He is the lead singer of I Am One. And Trevor, where can they find I Am One's music?
I Am One, the letter I, the number 1, the letter M, band.bandcamp.com.
Also, Anchorhead Multimedia, which is also a company owned by Joe Oliger. He does all of our graphics.
proud partner of the Scrum Sports, the official
Absolutely.
multimedia provider
Yes.
of the Scrum Sports. So if you need any website banners, if you have a podcast and you want a sick intro for your podcast, get with Cho.
Get with Cho, and
Cho!
Cho will hook you up with any of your
Cho!
multimedia needs. On behalf of Trevor Grout, Brooks Roland, our own Mary Holt directing the beautiful Scrum TV. This is Ryan Adams signing off. We'll catch you guys next week.